Yo, it's me, CSCOTT, baby, and welcome to Throwback Thursday, where I pick a film from the 90s and we take a look at it. And this week's film is the 1999 film, The Blair Witch Project. Now, as you know, I've been reviewing a lot of found footage films over the past several months, just here and there. And one of the big ones that I haven't gotten to yet is the Blair Witch Project. And I said to myself, I gotta figure out a way to do them. Yes, I will be doing the other two movies as well. And so I've kind of convinced myself to do two different series in collaboration with my Throwback Thursday and Flashback Fridays. So Throwback Thursday is the Blair Witch Project, and I'll be doing the other two sequels today. The two sequels today, and tomorrow for Flashback Fridays will be the 1989 film Pet Sematary, and I'll also be doing its two sequels tomorrow as well. So I figured it's a good way to get two series out of the way. They're only 3 films apiece. It works. Well, actually, Pet Sematary remake, I should say. It's sequel and the remake. You know what I mean. But I had a whole opening plan where I was gonna get real close to the. I was gonna be like, I'm sorry. This movie sucks. But after watching Good Bad Flicks video on this, I guess I understand why I don't like it as opposed to why people were freaking out about this movie. It's the same thing for Paranormal Activity. You know how I love the Paranormal Activity movies. But people were freaking out thinking this was real. And I didn't understand it. But watching this little 15-minute documentary thing or whatever video on talking about it, they marketed the shit out of this movie to make it appear to be real. Like, this was done by 2 filmmakers wanting to get this done. They hired actors. They start off wanting to fuse documentary style stuff with footage, mostly improv footage of the actors in the woods. And eventually they decided, this stuff in the woods flows better without the documentary stuff, so that's why it's only the beginning of the film, and it worked. And then they started marketing, say, a website showing small footage. It was marketed as if it was real. The actors used their real names, so the actors' families were getting condolence letters and flowers and stuff. And wow, just wow. The way it was a genius way to market this. They made a lot of money back from it. Almost 300 million, I think. But yeah, just good God, they made a lot of money off of this. Just a lot of money off of nothing. I do have a theory, and it's not my theory. It's an in-film theory, and it was from another YouTube channel. I don't remember what YouTube channel it was, or I'd give credit. But they came up with this theory, and I think it, in film, makes more sense than what they're trying to present to us, and I'll get to it at the end. But, so what's the story? The story is, Blair Witch Project. Well, supposedly, there was a woman named Ellie Kedward who went missing. She was like a witch or something. And then a man named Rustin Parr, he admitted to killing 7 children and said the Blair Witch made him do it. It was a town called Blair that they changed to Burkittsville, and this is all backstory given in the film, by the way. All backstory that these filmmakers put together themselves. And, they did very extensive work to make this appear to be real, building an entire backstory that is total bullshit, of course, but, they went into this full, they went all in, so to speak, on this concept, and I got to give it to them. It's a good concept, and evidently it worked. But to give them a little bit of my background, this came out when I was 12. So, needless to say, I didn't go see this. Actually, it wasn't until my grandma started getting DVDs and stuff, switching from VHS to DVD, that the movies came into my life. The first two. And I was maybe 16, 17 at the time I watched this. And the only thing that I remember affecting me was the ending. Other than that, I was just like, one, I kept yelling at the TV to Heather, shut the fuck up. So the 16-year-old me going, shut the fuck up. She just would not, towards the end of the film, all she was doing is yelling, Mike! 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 You get the point. That's all she's doing is she's yelling Mike constantly, for the last minute of the film. It's only a minute, but it's annoying as hell. Just, ugh. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's what she's. Mike! Just constantly yelling in a screechy, squealy voice. And I'm just like, oh. And, I used to, fuck around. We lived in an old house. It was an old Victorian house. It's very old, and to do laundry, you have to go down to the basement. It's got stone structure going down. It had stone structure. We don't do that house anymore, and I would be down there pretending, like, start yelling, Mike! Mike! I remember hearing my sister go, who the hell is Mike? I'm like, I'm doing the Blair Witch Project, be quiet. And like, I'm like, I'm gonna stand in the corner. Okay? You have to pretend my name is Mike. I'm not gonna pretend your name is Mike. I'm gonna stand in the corner. I wasn't human at all. So basically I just stood down there and nothing happened. But yes, as much as I didn't like this film, it was the ending that really got me. Standing in the corner. That and I kicked that fucker into the creek with the map when they're looking for the map, and Mike just breaks down, starts laughing. He's like, I kicked that fucker into the creek. That one got me every time I watch this, which is not much. It's like that maybe the fourth time in my entire life I watched this, because don't hate me, but I prefer the second film over this. I prefer the third film over this too, but I prefer the second film over this because shit actually happens. What happens in this film? They go out from a documentary, they get lost in the woods. Shaky camera, screaming, close up, snot. Josh disappears. Map disappears, Josh disappears. They go to a house. Stuff actually happens and the movie ends. Stuff doesn't actually happen until the last 5 fucking minutes of the movie. And that's why it's so memorable. The two parts that I'm talking about, that I like, is when stuff actually happens. Otherwise, it's them talking about the place, walking in the woods, shaky cam. And then, we lost the map. We gotta find the map. Where's the map? We're lost. Mike starts laughing. You think it's because of Heather's broken shoes or something, whatever it was. But it turns out he kicked the river into the creek. I kicked that fucker into the creek, and he's laughing. And then they start freaking out, and Heather's screeching, are you fucking serious? Oh, God. No. And then weird stuff like stick figures, rock formations. Ooh. Josh goes missing. They find a hex bag with his hair and teeth and stuff. And, hex bag I get from Supernatural because, witches, they have hex bags they use for... That's what it's supposed to be, I believe. And then they go missing. Josh goes missing. They search for him. They find a house, which shouldn't be there. And then they get separated. She starts screaming, Mike! Finds Mike standing looking into the corner, taken out by someone from behind the camera. End. As you can tell, most of the stuff happens towards the end. Otherwise, it's just them looking around the woods, trying to find their way back to the car because they're lost. And it's really nothing to go home about. And I could tell why people thought this was real other than the marketing. There's a lot of raw footage here. A lot of the stuff is improvised. And that's why there's literally a scene where they're filming Mike's hairy chest. I kid you not. I was in the kitchen making breakfast. I turn around and I see a hairy chest. And I went, what? Huh? Didn't remember that at all. And I turn around to see a hairy chest and I'm just like, what? Did the channel change? What? I'm alone. And no, it's Mike's hairy chest. Hey, if a hairy chest is scares people, there. Ooh! Run away, children. I mean, come on. I understand. Watching this little 15, 16-minute document, thing behind it, Good Bad Flicks. Check out the channel, but I understand that a lot of it was improv. Doesn't mean you have to keep it all in the film, though. The hairy chest thing really just confuses me. Boo! Just what? What is it? Is that scary? Is it scary? Ooh! Ooh! No, it's not scary. Why? It's so random. I'm making breakfast. I turn around. Just randomly turn around. The fuck? Just, what? There's a lot of random stuff in this movie. But that's the most random. And I'm concentrating on the hairy chest too much. But I'm just saying, they film a lot. They film like going up his front. They just pan up his body. It's like they said, we're gonna improv shit, let's just do it. There's a scene where they're running at night. And Heather screams, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? And we don't see anything. That's because they had a crew member wrapped up in gauze, and the only good take they can use didn't have him in it. It was cut off, so you don't see anything. And they say, oh, it's what you don't see. Yeah. And you're made to believe that, oh, they can see it, but the camera can't. That's freaky. The camera didn't pick it up. It's much like always watching a Marble Horror Story. Only the camera can see it through. You can only see it through the camera. Whereas here, you can only see it with the naked eye. That I like. But when it's followed by Hairy Chest Man, I don't. Maybe Hairy Chest Man was before it. I don't know. And then we got the snot scene where she didn't realize it was out of focus, which is why it's cropped. And she improv the whole thing. And so they just went with it. Which, that's one of the most iconic things. They they spoof that in a scary movie. I just did it with the... Oh my God. Did you see the hairy chest? Scary. No, just... I don't think I'm going to drop the hairy chest thing. But it's just like, Josh goes missing. And they're screaming. Oh, Heather, fucking screaming. And it gives you a headache. Josh! Josh! Oh, give it a rest. I even had the sound turned on TV because I was watching something else on YouTube as well. And I had the sound because I wanted to hear it because I don't have any... If I have subtitles, I'll have the sound off and I can read the subtitles. But if I don't have subtitles, I have to have the sound on. So I had the sound on low, like maybe 10. And... you could hear them talking. But then when she's screaming, it's like I put it all the way up to 25. When she's screaming. It's like she's fucking loud. And I know fucking loud people. And they can be fucking loud, Eric. And then you tell them to be quiet. And they do it again just to piss you off. Anyway. Anyway, the ending. Like I said. So, after Josh disappears. And this is where they sent him home. In all actuality, they sent him home. He was done with filming. So they had Mike and Heather. And they had this house that was eventually had to be torn down because people were going to the house and breaking off pieces of it, I guess. And eventually they just had to tear it down. But, which means that in 2016 film, they recreated that house. Think about that. The house was torn down before the 2016 sequel. So the fact that what you see in that house is very much like the other house, they did a pretty good job recreating it. Anyway, we'll get to that one. Yeah, just the ending. They go in the house, they get separated. Heather starts screaming again for Mike this time, and Mike goes down with the camera, and you see that he gets knocked over by something. And what you can assume in film is that he was attacked by something and he dropped the camera. And he knows the legends, so he stands in the corner, right? They actually brought Mike back because the studio didn't like the ending. They wanted to refilm it, and they had different endings where he was going to be hanged, or he was going to be surrounded by stick figures, or he was going to be staring at Heather with stick figures. But in the end, they just said, we'll just keep the regular ending, and they messed with the sound, which is probably why Heather's so fucking loud when she screamed. She gets down there. She screams the whole way, by the way. She doesn't stop fucking screaming for Mike till she gets down there, and then camera is not down. Movie ends. You see him standing in the corner. Camera falls down. Movie ends. Yeah, that ending got me when I first watched it. Now, the whole rest of the film, I'm just like, I laughed at. I kicked that shit I kicked that fucker in the creek, and then, just like she was annoying, and like this time though, because like the first time I watched it, I was just like, okay, that's a good end. Just cut off like that. Here, I'm like, yes, you finally shut the fuck up. I was just going in to watch it this time. I would tell you I wasn't in the best. There's a reason why I didn't review this yet. It's because I just didn't want to watch it. But I figured, hell, I gotta get these done, so why not? I think this would be the first one. This wasn't even the first found footage film. They had Cannibal Holocaust, that came out. And then there was the last broadcast where people were claiming that the Blair Witch Project ripped off because they filmed it before the Blair Witch Project even came out. And that's true. But it was released afterwards. But because the footage was filmed before Blair Witch, people were saying, oh, they ripped it off. And even the directors and filmmakers of last broadcast were like, no, they didn't rip us off. It's fine. We didn't rip them off. It's just totally different, But yeah, now my theory. And this stems from a video on YouTube. I don't remember where it was from, what channel or anything. I can search it, but I don't want to. If I do search after the video, I'll give credit to it in my next review, the Blair Witch 2 review. But so the theory is, it's not my theory, but this makes a lot more sense than what's going on in this film. In the original script or cut, whatever, Heather and Josh were going to be ex-lovers. And so this has sparked the theory that Josh hired Mike to take him, so they could take Heather out to the woods and murder her. And everything you see is sabotage to murder her. Like Mike getting rid of the map, then getting lost, Josh's disappearance, and them setting up the hex bag to look like the witch took him, finding the house, Mike breaking off from Heather, and Heather getting taken out at the end of the film. And it makes a lot of sense. If you think of it with common sense, it makes a lot of sense. I'll walk you through it, alright? So think about this. Let's just say Heather and Mike used to date, and let's say they broke up because she kept cheating on him. He would want to, he snaps and says, we're going to film this document. And calls Mike and says, hey, Heather wants to film this documentary out in the middle of Burkittsville. I don't know if this shit is real or not, but this is where we take her out. This bitch is going to pay, right? So they go out to the middle of the woods. Because I'm not sure how they meet Mike, but they don't know Mike. At least Heather doesn't know Mike. When we find out from this. Heather doesn't know Mike, but she knows Josh. So they go out to the woods. After a few days of finding nothing, after the food interviews, whatever, after a few days of finding nothing, shit starts to happen. The stick figures, the rock formations, they start to happen. Then they get lost. They lose the map. They can't find their way out. They get lost. They can't find the car. They're going around in circles. And if you watch the film, you could tell, you see that Josh and Mike aren't cooperating with Heather. They're constantly just kind of doing this and kind of trying to ignore her at some points. Josh especially. So just think about it. So then, after a night of supposedly seeing something in the woods, which for all we know could have been someone else they paid, or maybe she's just seeing things, who knows? Or it could have been Mike, who knows? Or Josh, or whatever. And then Josh goes missing. And all they find is a hex bag, or whatever you call it. A bag of bones, whatever. He's gone. Map's gone. They're so lost in the woods. And Mike somehow magically leads her to a house that's not supposed to be there. According to the legends. They get in the house, and automatically, right away, they get separated. They hear what appears to be Josh's voice. That's what leads Heather to find Mike, who's in the corner. She's screaming the entire fucking time. She is out of her mind at this point, right? She sees Mike standing in the corner, and then something, off camera, knocks her down. My one question in this is, who shuts off the camera? And you could say, oh, he's just filming till it went dead, and the filmmakers just cut it, if this was real footage. Sure, but it's an interesting theory to think about. That Ian Milne's story could have been total bullshit just to kill someone who cheated on you. It's a theory. It's a theory. And maybe the cheating thing wasn't in the video I watched, and maybe I come up with that. But it's the only thing I could come up with as to why he would want to kill her. You know what I mean? It's just an idea. But the film as it is, without the theory, notwithstanding, but it's at most. I'm gonna give it a 5 because there are some enjoyable bits, like I kicked that fucker into the river, or the ending, as annoying as it is. But it's get a 5. It's probably the worst of the franchise, to be honest. And I get it. It's the marketing that made it so alluring. And years later, you watch it without knowing the marketing, without experiencing the marketing, and you sit there like myself going, like I did when I was 16, or like I did now. I remember getting freaked out more by the sequel, and yes, I was freaked out by Blair Witch 2. More than I was this one. And the acting's better in Blair Witch 2. I mean, the story is better in Blair Witch 2, even though I hear that I have to watch a good Bad Flicks video on it, because apparently The studio had a lot of things to change in that, so we'll get. I guess I'll get into that next one. But for now, what are your thoughts on the Blair Witch Project? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Scary Harry!